previous lecture we discussed that how a p-n junction is formed when one side of the semiconductor crystal is doped with p type and the other side is doped with n type impurity. And the process starts with the diffusion of charges, and then because of the uncovering of the ionized impurities, a field is established which gives rise to drift current. In equilibrium is established when diffusion current is equal to the drift current. Now, we move further, we look on this currents in a diode and the formation of the junction from a different angle. To understand that, we must look at the concept of Fermi energy. And Fermi, which is popularly known as Fermi level. How we define Fermi level, Fermi energy? This is the energy state for which the probability of occupancy is half. Now, for a semiconductor, the expression for Fermi energy is this. First, we consider for the intrinsic material, and it is in this expression, E c is the lower edge of the conduction band and E v is the upper edge of the valence band, and K T, T is the temperature, K is the Boltzmann constant, M h and M e are effective masses of hole and electron respectively, and plus K T log n by p. N is the concentration of electron density and this is the hole density. Now, in intrinsic semiconductor, as you know that each electron which has moved to the conduction band has left behind a hole. Therefore, the electron concentration, electron density is equal to the hole density, and therefore, this last term gets this becomes 0 because n and p are equal, and the expression for Fermi energy, Fermi level is this: E c plus E v by 2 plus 3 by 4 k T log m h by m e. If we further assume that the effective mass of hole is equal to the effective mass of electron, that is m h is taken, actually they are different because the electric field response is different for electrons and for holes, but for the time being this is not they are not too widely different. So, we can assume that the effective mass of hole is equal to the effective mass of electron. Then this term also vanishes, and for the intrinsic semiconductor the Fermi level exists in the middle of the forbidden band, that is this is E c, this is E b, E v, then almost in the center is the Fermi level. We can write the expression for N and P type semiconductors, because finally we have to deal with N and P materials. So, we write this expression of Fermi level for N and P type materials. So, for N semiconductor, we know that electron concentration is equal to the donor density, donor concentration, where we assume that all impurity atoms which have been added, they are ionized. That means, each impurity atom has given one electron to the conduction band, then this is true. And for we can find out the whole concentration in N type material, and for that we use a very useful relation, and that is N P is equal to N I square, where N is the electron concentration and P is the whole concentration in the same material. And that means, if we are talking of N type material, then these concentrations are in N material. So, this is majority concentration, this is minority concentration, and the product of the two is equal to the Ni square, where Ni is the density of the intrinsic carrier concentration. So, from here we can find out how much will be the P. Since N is equal to Nd, so obviously P is equal to Ni square by Nd. We substitute these values of N and P in the expression which we have earlier talked, which is epsilon f. This was for intrinsic material and this was E c plus E v by 2 plus 3 by 4 k T log m h by m e. This is actually, as you know, is the intrinsic position, plus k T by 2 log n by p. It was n by p, and we substitute for n. This is intrinsic position, intrinsic position of Fermi level, and here for n we substitute Nd, and for p we substitute Ni square by Nd. So, then the expression will become, this is for N type material. So, we put it N here, this is intrinsic position, plus k T by 2 log Nd over N I whole square. I have substituted for N as equal to Nd and P equal to Ni square by Nd. So, it is this, and we can take this 2 here. So, this becomes intrinsic position plus k T log Nd by Ni. That means, the Fermi level for N type material is, because this is for intrinsic semiconductor, this is for F I, then here, that means closer to the conduction band edge, this is the Fermi energy for N material. As we increase the doping concentration, of the n-type impurity, it will move more and more towards the conduction band edge. One more important thing, if you remember, we said in the earlier that there is no positive contribution for the charge carriers which are present in the intrinsic material. We can see it here. If we mix a impurity of the order of 1 part of impurity in 1,000,000 host atoms, in that means 10 to the power 6 silicon atoms for example, then there are, you know, from Avogadro's number that there is roughly 10 to the power 22 atoms per cubic centimeter. Therefore, if one part of impurity is mixed in 10 to power 6, that means 1,000,000 silicon atoms, then we will have in the crystal 1 cubic centimeter 10 to the power 16 impurity atoms. And when we assume that all the impurity atoms are ionized, then each atom has given 1 electron to the conduction band. So, there are 10 to the power 16 electrons in the conduction band. Now, if you remember, in silicon at a room temperature, that is 300 degrees Kelvin, there are roughly 10 to the power 10 electrons per cubic centimeter. Now, this number 10 to the power 16 is 6 orders of magnitude higher. So, the contribution of these electrons is negligible, and the electrons which have been obtained by doping, they are important. So, we remember that the Fermi energy level in the n-type material is closer to the conduction band, and similarly we can write the expression for the Fermi energy level for the p-type material. For that, the hole density will be equal to the acceptor atom impurity and n, this is for p-type material, p semiconductor, and this is equal to Ni square by Na, and then Fermi energy for p-type material, this is equal to the intrinsic position plus kT by 2 log Ni square by Na square, and that gives, this is equal to intrinsic position minus kT log Na by Ni. Now, look at this sign. This shows that it is for p-type material, the Fermi energy is below the conduction band, and below the Fermi energy for the intrinsic material, and as we increase the acceptor impurity, it moves further into the valence band region. Here, this is the Fermi energy for p-type material, this is Fermi energy level. So, we understand that for the n-type material, the Fermi level is on the side closer to the conduction band, and for p type. So, we can draw 2, because now what we are going to discuss, we will be discussing the energy band diagram, potential energy diagram, and for the p-n junction, and that will enhance our understanding that what happens when we forward bias the junction, what happens when we reverse bias the junction. All this can be very well understood if we understand this. So, here is the p semiconductor, and this is the Fermi level for the p type material. Similarly, here is n semiconductor when they are separate. This is this position when they are separate, and this is E c, E b, and this is the Fermi level for the n type material. Now, when p-n junction is formed, that means when one side of the crystal is n type doped and the other side is p type doped, then as we have discussed, diffusion of charges occur. Now, till how long this diffusion of charges and drift they will continue? It continues till the Fermi levels on two sides get aligned. How? Let us see here. This is p side, this is n side, and here is this is the Fermi level throughout the crystal is aligned and it becomes same. Now, obviously, this is the electron energy, and a barrier has been formed, and the height of the barrier, this is in energy. So, if the contact potential is V b, then this is Q into V b. This is p type material, majority are holes here, majority are holes, and here this is n type material. So, there are electrons. These electrons do not have enough energy to cross over to the p type, because there is a potential energy difference. They should have this much energy at least, then only they will be able to cross over and to move towards the p side. Similarly, this is uphill for holes. It was said earlier that electron energy increases upward, then hole energy increases downwards. So, this is a uphill for holes, and holes also cannot move to the n side. This is the picture of the p-n junction in equilibrium in the absence of any external field. From here, actually we can find out the expression very easily for the built-in voltage, the contact potential as we call it, or the barrier height. This all can be calculated. If we subtract the difference, we have got the expression for the Fermi level on the p side, Fermi level on the n side. If both are subtracted, then the difference should be equal to this potential height, and that we do now. If we subtract, then we get the expression epsilon f, that is Fermi energy for the n type material minus Fermi energy for p type semiconductor in aligned, and that they have aligned, that means the difference of the two should be equal to where Vb is contact potential. And when we substitute the values of these Fermi energies, then this expression works out is simple. Just substitute here the earlier expression what we have obtained for Fermi energy in the n type region, here Fermi energy for p type region, and by substituting these values we get the expression for contact potential k T by q log n A n D by n I. This is in volts. For germanium, Vb, that is contact potential, is of the order of 200 millivolts, and for silicon this is around 500 millivolts at room temperature at 300 degrees Kelvin, and this also at 300 degrees Kelvin. This term k T by q is volt equivalent of temperature, volt equivalent of temperature, and at room temperature, at that means at T equal to 300 degrees Kelvin, this works out to be k T by q is equal to 26 millivolts or 0.026 volts. So, we will remember that these are roughly the values of the contact potential, and this I have amply explained that why the majority charge carriers in equilibrium will not be able to cross over, because they do not have energy equal to or in excess of this energy barrier height, and so the process stops here, and we get this contact potential equal to 200 millivolts for germanium and 500 millivolts for silicon. Depletion width is also a function of the applied voltage, and the expression for that can be actually obtained, that is width of the depletion region W. This is given by 2 epsilon q n A plus 1 by n D half, and this is built in voltage here. This is P material, this is N material, and this is the depletion width W, which is given by this expression, and it obviously depends on the impurity concentrations, and of course, the permittivity epsilon is the permittivity, and which is equal to the permittivity of free space into the real part of the dielectric constant. For silicon, this is around 11.5, and So, we can calculate the value of the depletion width. This is around W is of the order of 10 to power minus 4 centimeter, which is 1 micron, 1 micrometer. This is the order of the depletion width. Now, depletion width also becomes a function of applied voltage, which we will soon see. Now, we continue and we talk what happens when we bias the junction. By biasing, we mean we apply external voltage. There are two possibilities. One is called forward bias, the other is called reverse bias. Forward bias is when we connect the positive terminal of the DC source to the p type semiconductor, and the negative is connected to the N side. That is, this is the situation. These are the ohmic contacts on the two sides, and then we apply a voltage source. This is forward bias. You will recall that the built-in field has this direction. This was, if you look earlier notes, you will find that this is the direction of the built-in field. This voltage, you know what is field? Field is voltage per unit length of the specimen. So, the two are directly proportional, they are related. Now, when we apply a voltage, we forward bias the junction with a voltage B, then this will give rise to a electric field opposite to the direction of the built-in field. This is the direction of the field we always take from positive to negative. This direction, because here there were positive ions, on the p side there were negative ions. So, this was the direction. Now, here is the positive terminal, this is the positive terminal, this is negative. So, this is the direction of applied field. In terms of the potential energy diagram, that in equilibrium we have seen that the Fermi levels were aligned, but that is true only in the absence of any external, that means any biasing. Once we bias it, for example, as in this case, then those Fermi levels are again they become different on the two sides, and you see here that this is N side, this is P side, and the two levels get separated again, and this extent of separation depends on this applied voltage. This is Q V, where V is the applied voltage. Now, this applied field will, because this is more than the built-in field, then it will take over and these electrons will be able to diffuse towards the p side, and similarly because of the reduction in the barrier height, these holes will also be able to cross over to the N side, and this way a current will flow. The current will be mainly of these majority carriers, holes from the p side to the N side, electrons from N side to the p side. They will constitute current in the same direction, we have said it earlier that the direction of current is taken as the direction of hole motion. So, electrons holes are moving in this direction, hence this current will flow from P towards N. Now, there are several interesting points. I said that depletion width also depends on applied voltage, and the expression for depletion width was written here by simple logic we can understand, because in forward bias lot of majority charge carriers like holes from the P side will be injected into the base region, and then of course, finally they will move to the N region. Similarly, lot of electrons are injected via base region towards the P region, and hence the depletion width is supposed to decrease with applied voltage, and as applied voltage becomes higher and higher, depletion width will be decreasing. And the expression, the dependence can be shown like this. This is the expression for this is the applied voltage, and this is the built in. Now, this is to be put, V is positive for forward bias and negative for reverse bias. So, we have to substitute in this expression V with proper sign. At the moment we are discussing the forward bias, for that it is positive. So, V will decrease, but one point is to be noted, that this term will never be negative, because when we increase the voltage, then current becomes higher and higher, making this term never 0 or never negative. Depletion width will tend to be 0, but it will not be 0, and but it decreases with the forward bias. And we can also discuss the flow of current, how the currents flow in the forward direction, through another useful description in terms of the another diagram. We should take note of one thing, that in devices normally asymmetric doping is used. That means, doping on the P side and N side are not equal. One doping is much higher as compared to the other doping. So, for example, if we take a case when the doping on the P side is very large in comparison to the doping on the N side, and then we draw a picture that this is N side, this is P side, and we have applied the forward bias, then electron holes will diffuse from here towards the N region. In N region they will meet a lot of electrons, so they recombine and they are exponentially the density decays, and finally this is the whole density in the N region in thermal equilibrium. This is how we write P whole density, N in the N region, and this 0 indicates that it is in thermal equilibrium. What does it mean? It means, if we look on the N side, like here, this is N side, this is P side. Now, N side has electrons in majority, but holes are also there in minority. So, that concentration is this. So, finally, the hole density on the n side settles here. Now, because of this is diffusion current, mind it, diffusion current, and we are discussing a case where acceptor density is much higher than the donor density. So, when this electron density near the junction will fall and there will be electron drift. This is the electron drift, and this will move through here, and this is the current because of electrons. Hole current here is mainly diffusion. This is electron current which are in minority. This is because electrons will drift here and then they will be dragged, they will drift here, and finally it will settle at electron concentration in p region in thermal equilibrium. And because of this recombination, there will be a drift of, in this region holes will also drift. This is p side of the battery, this is the n side. So, this is finally the holes will also drift in this region. The total current is the sum of hole current and electron current. This is the total current. Total current through the junction, and where major portion will be of diffusion, but partly here these electrons, because they will, the carrier concentration in the region near the junction will fall. So, they will drift. Similarly, the electron concentration will fall in this region and electrons will drift under the applied field and they will form the current. So, actually there are both components of current, diffusion current and drift current, but major portion will be of diffusion current. If we take that this N A and N D concentrations, they are in the ratio 100 versus 1, then 99% current will be by holes and only 1% will be of electrons, and major portion of current is by holes. So, major portion of current is the diffusion current. This is how the currents flow in a forward biased p-n junction, and we could see that how useful is the concept of this potential diagram, energy diagram. Then we can discuss the p-n junction under reverse bias. Here we will see that this is our p-n device. These are ohmic contacts and this is the voltage, and we have applied such that the negative of the battery is connected to the positive side, p side, and the positive of the battery is connected to the n side. Now, here the direction of the field which the applied voltage creates is this. This is the direction of applied field, and this was also the direction of the built in field. That means, two are in the same direction. So, how the energy band diagram will become in this case? This is this. This is E c, E v, Fermi level in the p side, this is p side, this is n side, and this is the Fermi level, and this is the potential barrier height which has gone up drastically, and this is equal to q v b, q v sorry, q v. Now, we can discuss which electrons and which holes will form the current in this situation. It is clear that majority carriers were unable to cross over even when there was no field and the p-n junction was in equilibrium, because holes did not have energy which is required for the crossing over of the barrier, potential barrier. Similarly, electrons did not have. Now, this barrier height has become much larger as compared to the earlier two cases. So, here these electrons and these holes, they will not be able to move, to diffuse at all in the on the opposite sides. That means, electron will not be able to move to the p side, holes will not be able to move towards the n side, and hence majority charge carriers do not take part in the current. So, first thing we can conclude is no currents due to majority charges. But let us now we will bring about the minority charge carriers. In the p material, there are, besides majority of holes, there are electrons in minority. Similarly, in n type region, there are holes in minority. That means, holes are here, but they of course, they are fewer in number. Similarly, there are electrons here. These electrons which are minority charge carriers, these electrons will simply move the downhill and will be able to go towards the n region. Similarly, these holes here, they will be able to, because this is again a downhill for holes. So, the minority charge carriers constitute what is known as reverse saturation current. Minority charges on p and n side give rise to current. Now, few things are important to note. All the charges, the electrons in the p region, the minority charges, will not be able to contribute towards this current, because this region is full of, the p type material is full of holes. So, a electron far away from the junction, when it tries to move towards the junction, it is highly probable that it will recombine. Only those electrons which are in the depletion region, because making and breaking of bonds is a continuous process, and so the electrons which are near the junction on the p side or within the junction, they will be over to cross over, and similarly the electrons which are near the junction, they will be able to cross over near the junction and within the depletion region, they will be able to drift to the side because of the, look at the polarities, that holes from here they will be attracted by this side, and they will constitute the current. Another thing is, these charge carriers, thermally generated charge carriers, the minority charge carriers, they are they depend, their concentration depends only on the temperature. So, by changing this reverse voltage, the current is not going to change. This is very important point to remember, that current, reverse current is almost independent of the applied voltage, because the reverse voltage will change the barrier height. If this height is made more or less, that does not make a difference, electrons anyway will fall, and similarly these holes will fall to the p side. Therefore, this is important consideration, important point to remember, that reverse current does not depend, almost does not depend on applied reverse voltage, and because these charge carriers, they are the function of temperature. So, reverse saturation current is a function of temperature. Reverse current depends on temperature. Higher the temperature, higher will be the reverse current, and by one estimate, roughly for every 10 degrees rise of temperature, the reverse saturation current gets doubled. This is about the reverse saturation current, and this becomes clear that reverse saturation current is very small. And why it is called saturation current, reverse saturation current? Because the charges which constitute this reverse saturation current, they are very much limited in number, and immediately they are they move under the applied field, and there are not many charges, and hence the current gets saturated very quickly. Here these look at the polarities, that electrons will be this field here, the positive field here and negative field here. This will pull apart more charges, more majority charges, electrons will move towards the electrodes. Similarly, holes will move away from the junction. When they move, that means that the ionized impurities, larger in number, will be uncovered, and the depletion width will increase with the applied voltage. This is true, even mathematically we have seen that this was the expression which we wrote earlier. Power half, and here V b minus V, and and we said that the sign of V has to be taken into account when we calculate the depletion width. So, now it is reverse bias. So, this sign will be positive, and that implies that higher the applied voltage. So, now we can put, and we talk here only of magnitude. So, higher the magnitude of the applied voltage, higher will be the width. So, if at certain voltage or under no voltage, if this was the depletion width P in N region, then this depletion width becomes higher, becomes larger as we apply the field. And so, this we will remember, and we will see the implications of this. Now, we will talk about current voltage characteristics of a diode. Current I which flows through the diode is related with the applied voltage by this equation. This is the expression which gives the IV characteristics, which expresses IV characteristics of a diode. Here Vt, as we have said earlier, this is the volt equivalent of temperature, and this is equal to 26 millivolts or 0.026 volts. Eta is equal to 1 for germanium diode, and eta is equal to 2 for silicon diode. So, this equation, and V of course is the applied voltage which we have to consider with appropriate sign. For forward bias it is positive, for reverse bias it is negative. When we plot these, first we consider forward bias. Forward bias, then the characteristics you can see from here that when V, the applied voltage, is large compared to the thermal equivalent, the volt equivalent of temperature Vt, then this term, exponential term, will become soon very large and one can be dropped, and in that case the current will exponentially rise with the applied voltage, and the expression of course will become if we consider a silicon diode, then it will be this, and this current will increase exponentially with applied voltage. So, if this is the current and this is the voltage, the current rises exponentially, and to limit the current should not exceed then the prescribed rate of current for the diode by the manufacturer. We normally use a resistance in series with the diode, and in the reverse bias case, so this is understood that current increases exponentially with the forward biased, and another thing is that we can find out the resistance of the diode in the forward direction by taking this small triangle. This is change in current which occurs because of change in voltage. A small change in voltage will change the current drastically, and hence the resistance is very small, and forward resistance for a diode, forward resistance is around 20 to 50 ohms. We will continue our discussion of PN junction. Next we have to discuss the what happens in the reverse bias.